Next on, we have Dr. Cameron Smith, who is a anthropologist and archaeologist and has dedicated the last 10 years of his research and professional work towards the future of human evolution in space. And Trent Tresch, who is a researcher that has worked with National Geographic and with Cameron and a number of other arenas. And together they're going to present about Smith Aerospace Garments, which is the company we've hired to produce our fully pressurized EVA suits. So Cameron and Trent.
Yeah, hey, hello everyone. Cameron, if you want to introduce yourself, I'm going to share my screen really quickly.
You bet. Well, I'm Cameron Smith here in Portland, Oregon with Smith Aerospace Garments, and we've spent the last 10 years roughly as a really a think tank, a nonprofit, developing, designing, fabricating, and then testing pressurized garments of all varieties. And in the last couple of years, though, we realized actually there's some market for pressurized garments. And I'm now selling these to high altitude balloonists and all kinds of interesting adventurers. However, probably the most interesting application of these now is for the many analog studies that are being done worldwide. And we're going to now introduce really essentially affordable pressurized suits for analog studies, so that rather than just wearing sort of coveralls, you get the science of actual, physical exertion, which is much harder in a pressurized garment than just coveralls. So that's what we're going to be building for SAM, and I'm so excited to be involved with Biosphere. I watched the Biosphere as a kid, and so I'm just thrilled. So that's a little bit of background from where we come from. Trent will walk you through some of the history and show you some of the lead up to where we are now. And then he's going to switch it over to me, and I'm going to show you some of the suits that are being constructed right now. Go ahead, Trent.
Yeah, thanks, Cam. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Trent Tresch. I've been working with Cameron for about the last 5 years on suit development and operations. And as Cameron said, we're just going to give you a little bit of history, some of our projects, and talk about the suits for SAM.
So yes, these are three generations of suits. And what you'll see is that over time, they're becoming less and less cluttered. One of the first things we discovered is that we were trying to copy things that had been done before that perhaps didn't apply to what we were trying to do now. So over time, that's about, those are three of roughly 15 suits that we've built. And they're getting less and less in complexity, you might say. Next one, please, Trent.
Yeah, and actually, Ken, before I do that, I just wanted to mention here something else. You can see the suit progression from the left side to the right side over time, and we would definitely consider these IVA suits, so intravehicular suits, something that would be utilized inside of an aircraft or a spacecraft as compared to EVA, which will be used in SAM in the Mars yard. So after we proved the suit functionality, operational functionality, just after we were able to provide just some of the suit operational functionality, we just want to test the efficacy in different environments outside of the lab. So here you'll see some of the early experiments from about 2012 to 2014 in underwater neutral buoyancy. We had some.
You need to reshare your screen, Trent.
Oh yeah, sorry, thank you. So again, underwater suit neutral buoyancy. We have emergency egress here as well. Or mode 8 egress for those of the shuttle era stability testing. Also within different chambers here, chamber rides, this one's in Copenhagen. We've also gotten to fly and integrate into numerous aircrafts. So our own hot air balloon, as well as a Bell 206B helicopter, the Super Twin Otter down in the bottom left corner. We've flown numerous times in these aircraft, and we hope to do so into the future. Also into 2021, we have our sights set on either an F-104 Starfighter, potentially MiG-29 to get to higher altitudes, and gas balloons. Gas balloons are a great option to get that to high altitudes. Speaking of gas balloons, we definitely have been using them for component testing. Here we've compressed one of our entire suits just down to a forearm and a glove. Everything from the manufacturing process to the through fittings and just other connections. We released this glove, recovered it about 53 miles downrange from its launch point. And after recovering the data we were able to see that we had a maximum altitude and termination there over this flight path you can see at the top. Termination was about 70,000 feet. And we actually were able to maintain 3.5 PSI for the entirety of the flight, so an inflated glove for the entire flight, which was fantastic up to those altitudes. Now, in parallel with a lot of those different tests that we've done over the years, as Cameron mentioned, we worked on a lot of different projects. And one of those being high altitude stratospheric balloon flights. So a few photos here for you. Top left corner was just from a fixed wing flight test we did with the suit, and the rest of the photos are from the balloon, one of the balloon flights themselves. During flight, the pilot definitely had that visor down and was pressurized. This capsule actually in one of the flights did become unpressurized. The suit activated and inflated as needed and kept the pilot healthy on that emergency descent and landing. We've also got to supply suits for other types of operations. This suit that you see here is definitely different than maybe the others you've noticed in photos. This one was for orbital construction services and training for those personnel. So again, on the left, Cameron actually inflated in the suit, and on the right, some integration with some terrestrial-based tools for analog. Out of what you might traditionally expect with suits, we have even gotten to work with and think about a future of suit customization regarding expression and art. Outside of their functionality, what else, what future is held for space suits, especially when it comes to, again, art. So on the left-hand side, you'll see actually a collaboration we did with Corencia Studios out of Manhattan. The suit was then displayed at Paris Fashion Week in 2019. On the right, we have an artist concept for a suit, and we hope to pursue that into the future. Jumping a little bit now just to where we've been over the course of the last year. We started a spaceflight training program to CFR 460.51, so specifically for spaceflight participants. Certified that through the Space Foundation, as well as Western Colorado State University to provide college credit for students that decide to pass through the project. As you can imagine, with COVID, we are definitely in a holding pattern here, but that hasn't stopped us from exploring other opportunities, especially with our EVA suits and designs. So again, on the left, you see a couple red suits, which were just some quick drawings that we put together for the Astronaut Analog Training Center in Poland. We're providing them with a couple EVA suits, and Cameron will be able to show us some updates on those suits and how they relate to SAM and SAM suits. We also have some in-house EVA projects going on, so you see a custom project there on the right-hand side of Cameron and one of our other team members in the field doing some geological surveys with the suits. And with that, I will turn it over to Cameron to share a little bit of a video and future of SAM suits and how we will integrate into those.
Great, thank you, Trent, for that capsule history. I'm going to share my screen. And then I'm going to show a bit of video. Now this video is silent, but I'm going to narrate over it. Is everyone able to see that and hear it?
Yes, we can see and hear. Go ahead.
Okay, very good. So here are two suits that are under construction, and they're rather flat looking. They're rather flabby looking because they're not inflated. And these are Mars analog surface suits used by, or going to be used by the Poland chapter of the Mars Society. And in a moment here, the camera will zoom in and you'll start to see the various aspects of the suit that I really wanted to describe. Trent was mentioning that the suits that we've focused on so far have been IVA. That's for use inside a spacecraft, right, in case it depressurizes. That's a very different thing from an EVA suit, whether orbital, floating freely, or surface EVA, which is walking and standing. And most importantly, I think, kneeling. I think really arguably the reason to send geologists and scientists to Mars is so that they can kneel down and look at the surface in real time. Very different construction is required. So I've zoomed in a little bit, and I'm going to go up and start with the neck ring. And you see that these are metal rings that are an interface to the helmet. The helmet is a very complex piece of equipment. It houses your communication. The breathing gas that comes in has to wash over the visor so it doesn't get fogged. The helmet is a large bubble, and it's all gas tight. I'll talk about the bubble feature in a moment. Zoomed in there a moment ago, you saw the zipper. That's the edge of a zipper. Those were actually perfected in the Gemini era for Gemini era spacesuits, gas-tight zippers. Here are two helmets under construction, big polycarbonate bubbles, and we've gone away from a smaller flat-faced visor or flat visor. This is because the bubble allows you to look down, and nothing would be more important, or nothing is more important really, during surface EVA walking and looking at the ground than to be able to look down. So the bubble is awfully important. There are various covers on the helmet. You can see one there, the black cover. There are all kinds of sunshades and visors to be added still as well. You see there are many layers here, and these only the red sleeves are part of the outer suit. The white and yellow are the inner, the pressure bladder, and the blue is an intermediate layer that is the base really for a lot of the structural support. You see a lot of clamps there and straps. All of that is used to restrain the suit from the tremendous stresses that are put on the suit when it's inflated. A fully inflated suit, there are about 150 pounds of pressure trying to blow the glove right off the end of the sleeve, and there are several hundred pounds of pressure trying to blow the helmet straight off the top of the neck ring. So there's a lot of restraint, even going down to stirrups that restrain the legs from shooting off, or the boots from shooting off. Now I think I'm going to look at the gloves or show you a little bit about the gloves. I started as an anthropologist, and in human evolution, probably our hand, the human hand, you know, it's our first interface with the world beyond the human body. Awfully important to have good dexterity, and we've worked a long time to get good dexterity out of our gloves. Right now we have roughly Apollo level dexterity. That is sufficient. We want to increase it, increase dexterity and usability over many hours. But even so, as training suits right now, we can easily wear these for 3-4 hour EVAs. There are a lot of components in the gloves. They take about a week to make a pair, and there's a lot hidden inside there, not hidden purposely, but there's a lot inside the gloves that give it mobility that you're not able to see really. Now I'm zooming in on the coverall, some of the coverall layer. The selection of textiles is very specific to each case and each use. And the color, the texture, the elasticity, these are all carefully selected. On the right side of that sleeve, you can see pleats in the form of sort of an armadillo. You can see them on the left now of this red and black piece. That's a knee section. Those pleats give you mobility. They open up, that's the diamond weave there. They open up as you bend the sleeve or bend the knee, and this is critical to giving you the ability to, again, kneel down, awfully important, to be able to kneel down, look at the surface, and sort of do that repeatedly. You'll probably notice on the moon, they weren't doing much kneeling. They did pretty much everything from a standing position. Now down here, you see some oxygen or air tanks. The breathing gas supply is also specific to each suit. And there are all kinds of ways to deliver them. You also see an ice axe there for any kind of surface EVA moving around on the surface when you're getting up and getting down in these suits. Some kind of tool like that is going to be awfully useful. So that's just my old mountaineering axe, but I'm just giving you a visual reminder. Tools will be associated with this sort of thing that are going to be useful or make it a useful, useful suits in the Mars yard to really learn about how we're going to use these when we get to Mars, based on what we learned from Biosphere. I'm going to stop sharing now, and just I believe that's it. I think I just wanted to mention those design elements. I'd be very happy to describe anything for anyone later in questions. How are we doing for time, Kai? I think that was exactly 5 minutes.
Perfectly timed. You started 2 minutes late due to my jabbering in the previous one, and so we're perfect timing. Thank you so much for being on schedule, and I'm excited to work with you. And of course, we've just placed our order for the suits, so we're excited to receive those in March.